Hey everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood stock picker, Stock Picks by Tim, and we've got a nice green day in the market. Crypto's been recovering. We've got Bitcoin over 40,000. Small caps are finally having a decent day after almost 5 days in the red. And we're going to look over some charts, a couple of articles, and let's get into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I put out daily videos. And also don't forget to check out the links down below for some free crypto, stocks, and BlockFi's credit card. And let's start off here with ChargePoint. Haven't talked about that one in a second, and let's get it. Now this is definitely an older article, but the point still stands. The number of electric charging stations will reach about 300,000 by 2030 under the current government plans, but groups that are more familiar with the matter say that rollout is not fast enough. And I personally think this is something that can definitely help ChargePoint out greatly. Now this article is basically focused on Europe, talking about London. I'm not going to get into all the details on it. Of course, I'll leave you guys the link below so you can read it yourself. As you all know, ChargePoint has made acquisitions in 2021 that will position them for a lot of growth in Europe. And we have seen on their last earnings call that they were seeing an increase in revenue in their Europe side. As said by the chairman of the National Infrastructure Commission, we needed to turbocharge the rollout of electric vehicle charging points, accelerating the installation of both rapid and on-street charging facilities so that the 2030 date for the end of the sale of new petrol and diesel cars remains viable. So in Europe, they're actually planning 2030 to stop the production or stop the sale of gas vehicles, which I find extremely unlikely that that's going to happen. What about semi-trucks? What about large trucks? I mean, EVs don't even have a truck yet. We are almost there, of course, but you know, it's still a very, very long process in my opinion. And I doubt by 2030 it's just going to be all electric vehicles, although potentially sedans, potentially smaller compacts, sedans. You know, I highly doubt that full-size vehicles that have to tow a lot of equipment, it's going to remain gas for quite a long time in my personal opinion. But looking at ChargePoint on the chart here, the MACD is looking bullish, the RSI is rising, still not oversold yet, and we're having a nice little recovery day. We popped all the way down to about 1492 before coming back up. This previous resistance area kind of became a support and we held. Now looking at it though, you'll see that we are still in a downtrend. And I'll zoom in just here in a second, but looking at it, we are definitely in a downtrend. So look for us to break out of this channel. We're like at the top upper end of it, still working towards breaking the 50 EMA, but it's definitely still in a bit of a downtrend. And I was personally hoping in a previous video that this resistance would become a support. We kind of chopped around for a second, but we just were not able to hold this resistance as a support, and we just started falling further. Found a support here at about 1450, started bouncing. I am very bullish on ChargePoint, and for my swing trading position, I'm very tempted to add in right around this zone, in this $14 to $15 zone. I think that's a great place to add for a swing trading position, but I personally think we can pull back from this channel. I don't want to add until I see a breakout from this channel. So we still are in a downtrend. I think this can fall down further. We will likely retest this 1460 area as a support. But it does depend on where the market moves overall, of course. And we have had quite the rough week on ChargePoint. Last week was very red. I mean, this thing made it a little bit over 20 before starting to pull back. We are now 25% from our highs, just about our local highs at least. And for a long-term position, I think now is a fantastic time to add into ChargePoint. For short-term, I'm kind of waiting, seeing if this can pull back before getting that momentum and breaking this channel. I don't think we're going to break it yet. I think we will potentially break it on our next attempt. But that's my thoughts on ChargePoint. Extremely bullish long term on it. Short term, I'm kind of looking for it to come back a little bit before doing that swing trade on my short term position. Alright, next up is going to be CleanSpark or CLSK, and I'm sure that's not surprising at all to many of you. But you'll see that we were in this downtrend, we broke out of this downward channel, and we started using it as a trend line. And we just started to break up from it. We found this as a support, this $9 area. Now, one good thing for CleanSpark is we now are over the 21 EMA, and we haven't broken above it since the very beginning of April. It has been pretty much just hovering under the 21 EMA, and now we've broken above it. So I'm glad to see that we are now breaking over some of these EMAs. The RSI is right in the middle, still very neutral. MACD is still looking bullish to me. So I think this can push farther before starting to cool down. I think we will likely find this 11 area as a resistance, chop around from about 9 to 11. Personally, that's what I expect over the next couple of weeks. But it does depend on where Bitcoin goes. I feel like personally Bitcoin will kind of just trade sideways, and I'll show you that on the chart right now. Now looking at Bitcoin, you'll see that we did have a nice recent little pump here, and I personally don't like seeing these. These typically all get taken back. Look at this. A lot of green, all taken back. And when you go back, all this got taken back, all this got taken back. This huge run we had here all got taken back very quickly, and most of this like action that I liked to see, I liked this. This seemed pretty nice, establishing some potential supports. We didn't really use any of them. We came all the way back down towards this area of, you know, just this huge consolidation area, and we just tested it and then quickly bounced, tested it again, bounced, and now we actually went into that range for a very short, brief period, quickly bounced. I'm extremely confident adding Bitcoin under 40,000. As I've said before, guys, there seems to be a huge amount of buyers that step in. Personally, I think worst case scenario, we will see the low 30s on Bitcoin. And just be aware that we are still following our trend. We have not bounced up and tested this, so we may pull back and test this area, see how it holds as a support again. Personally, I expect Bitcoin to pull back a little bit. We're definitely going to test 40,000 in my opinion again. So you'll see that this trend line's dating all the way back to January. Tested 33, bounced, came back, tested 34, bounced, and we haven't came back again. So over the coming days, we can definitely come down towards 38,000 and we will still be in the green in terms of this support line. So if we do break 37, that would be breaking this support. But looking at it short term, I do expect it to pull back a little bit. We're going to probably retest this 40,500 area. That's what I would personally expect. I don't like seeing when things just run too far too fast. Of course, it's nice on the portfolio. It's nice when you wake up and your account is up, but I don't expect this to be sustained. I expect that we're going to come back, retest this 40,000. Develop some decent supports, you know. I don't want a repeat of what we just had here. That huge run too far too fast and it gets all taken back. Huge run too far too fast gets taken back. So I expect that from the beginning of this run right here at about 39.6, we'll come down to about 40, maybe test the 39s. Overall long term, I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin, and like I've said, anytime under 40,000, I see it as a great time to add. And think about this, you know, we are under 2 years away from the halving. Typically roughly 3 to 6 months before the next halving, there's a little bit of a rally. So we may be looking at about, you know, a year and a half of some sideways action. And to me, the next year and a half will be a great time to just continue to add to Bitcoin before we get on our next leg further and before we break that 69,000 top. Now, keeping the crypto theme going, you'll see that globally our market cap is at 1.92 trillion. I want to see us break that $2 trillion mark. Over the last 7 days, we've had a nice little run. So I'm definitely more concerned with what's been happening over 7 days compared to 24 hours, for instance. But I'm even more concerned longer term than that. We have been seeing a nice little recovery over the last week, and that's good. But I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I definitely think Bitcoin can test the 30,000s. Maybe not the low 30,000s. I mean, of course it's possible, but I expect, you know, maybe 35. And that's kind of like max fear before we start pushing higher. And as a side note, I think Cardano's a great time to add. I think Solana, I would like to see it go under 100 again personally. I might have missed that one, but that's okay. Ethereum's in the low 3,000s, Bitcoin's, you know, 41. And looking at VGX, my favorite small cap crypto, love their app, love their exchange, and if you don't have it, check out the link below. I've got a $35 reward for you. Now, it does look like we're still on this downtrend. We tried to have a breakout, looked like a false breakout, and we're testing it again. We're in a crucial area for VGX. See if we can break this support, or if it just gives us a false breakout and we come back further. Now, one negative thing is we did break our low point here in, you know, the beginning of March, this 148 area. We did break that, but what's good is we did not break this 133. So we haven't created lower lows if you're looking out a little bit farther. But just be aware, we are still on a downtrend. We are working towards breaking this red line, which is the 200 EMA. It's been a bit of a resistance. We kind of break out of it and then just can't hold. Try to break out, can't hold. We'll see if we hold over this 200. I'm extremely bullish on VGX at this price. I think under 150, it's a steal. But you do have to be aware, you know, there's definitely regulatory concerns. There are definitely some potential headwinds facing this one. And you just got to be willing to take that risk. If you're not willing to take that risk, you know, then don't do it. This one definitely has a high risk to reward profile, meaning there's definitely a lot of reward to be had, but there's also a lot of risk. And depending on what regulators decide, this could definitely be a huge headwind for VGX, pushing it even further. However, we also have a lot of bullish things coming, like NFT support, personal wallets, stock trading, and I assume that they might use VGX in a certain way with that. I don't know how, but I think that they will try to utilize VGX in a certain way there. And also, of course, Europe expansion. So there are a lot of reasons to be bullish on VGX, and we've got, of course, the executive team to beat. A lot of them having experience at E-Trade for multiple years, so I like seeing an executive team that's coming into this with some experience. Sure, it's not necessarily crypto experience, but they're still experienced in being an exchange and being a broker. But that's my thoughts on VGX. Extremely bullish on it. Been continuing to dollar cost average. I do think it may fall further. It kind of depends on where Bitcoin goes. But it is good to see that we aren't creating newer lows. That 130 is our low point, and I don't want to see us touch that area. All right, now getting back to stocks, and actually a stock that I'm glad that hasn't been hitting new low points, Indi. And this one I told you guys yesterday, watch out for this. Make sure we do not break these lows here. This 650, 660, 665, we did not break it. We came very close to this one. So I'm glad about that with Indi, and we are pushing higher very nicely. We are now breaking over the 50 EMA. And I personally love Indi at this price. I think honestly it's just fantastic to average through in general, but especially when it's down in the 7s, 8s, even 9s, I would argue, it's great to start adding to it. Indi did reach a high point of about $16 before just pulling back, and now we're sitting a little under half that. Despite so many great things for Indi. One, we're going to be getting out of this chip shortage, and this will be a major tailwind for a lot of these chip companies. You'll get a lot of money flowing in, I would expect. Now also, Indi said that they're expecting the higher end of their revenue expectations, so that's great. Might even beat that. Another thing, we've got the executive team to beat in terms of semiconductor knowledge. They have been together for more than 20 years, many of the executives, and they have a great experience together working at companies like Skyworks, Axiom, Broadcom, Cirrus Logic. I mean, the list goes on, guys. I'm telling you, this is the executive team to beat. And I urge you to find a better executive team. Let me know in the comments what stock has a better executive team than Indi. Go ahead and let me know. But as many of you know, I'm extremely bullish on Indi, and this is a golden opportunity to add, personally, in my opinion. Alright, now finishing up this video with Astra, we are still in a downtrend. We're still unable to break this channel, so watch out for it. RSI is coming up. We're looking bullish on the RSI, looking bullish on the MACD. We may start pushing, we may break out of this trend line. But you'll notice with this one, same thing. We've been pushing higher lows. And that is another trend line you can follow right here. There's another good trend line you can potentially follow. See that we don't break it if we start holding this as a support and pushing further. Keep an eye on Astra, very bullish on it. We expect some future launches moving forwards. We're expecting 3 more launches, so we're getting very close to monthly launches. We're right about there. Extremely bullish on Astra, and towards the end of the year, they're going to be working on their Rocket 4, which is their updated rocket, which will take more payloads, so that will increase their customer base potentially. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Just a little recap on some cryptos and stocks that I'm bullish on that I've been watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, take it easy.